Good morning, everyone. Someone once said that anyone who thinks that there aren't two sides to an argument was probably in one. King David says, "Hinei ma tova ma na'im shavet achim gam yachad." How good and pleasant it is when brothers sit together in peace. So someone pointed out, gam yachad, when they sit together, the word yachad, which means in oneness and togetherness, is also an acronym for three words. Yud Ches Daled could spell Yesh Chilukei Deot. There are differences of opinion. When is it beautiful when brothers and sisters sit together? When they could sit together even if they have differences of opinions, even if they disagree with each other. This week's parsha begins in the most beautiful way. Yaakov settled in the land of his forefathers, in the land of Canaan. Yaakov went through so much difficulty in his life. He struggled with his brother Esav, then with his father-in-law Laban. Finally, he built a beautiful family, he became successful. He comes back to the land of his ancestors, and he dwells, and he wants to just get some peace and some quality time with his family. And suddenly his family is ripped asunder by jealousy, by animosity, by hatred, by egos, and his brother, his beloved son Joseph, is sold into slavery, and for the next 22 years, Jacob has pain. He's grieving over his son, Joseph. And after the brothers threw him in the pit and dipped his coat in colors into blood and came back with the goat's blood, the coat dripped blood and a coat, and he said, do you recognize that a wild animal must have eaten him up alive? Jacob sits down and he mourns and he grieves over losing his son. And the verse says, Vayakumu kol banav v'bnos, all his sons and his children rose up to try to comfort their elderly father who was grieving over his son. Vayima'en le'isnachem, he refused to be consoled, he was unconsolable. And the brothers now regret what they did. They realize what they caused their father so much anguish. And they did it with their own hands by throwing him into the pit and selling him into slavery. And now they realize and regret the pain that they caused to their father by being so petty over a little dispute amongst the siblings about a coat of many colors. And the next few weeks they tried to rebuild the family, to regain the brotherhood that they lost. And at the end, thank God, they find Joseph and they're reunited with him. But 22 years of suffering because of this jealousy and this struggle in the family. And the lesson is so plain and obvious that sitting together, brotherhood, whether it's family or friends, is a gift. It's a beautiful thing. And you should never destroy it over petty little things. Because like the brothers, we'll only regret it later when we say, why did we cause this rift in the family? Why did we do away with our brother over what? What was it? Was it so important? Look at our father, how much pain it caused him, how much suffering he has. One of the terms that was born in our generation that's now in the Webster Dictionary, that was never in the dictionary for forever, and that is the word selfie. It's a new concept, right? Today everything is self-esteem, self-awareness, self-actualization, self-realization, everything's self. A new concept. Get out of the picture, it's just me. We're so obsessed with ourselves, we can't tolerate someone else and someone else's opinions or views. And therefore King David said how beautiful is when brothers learn to live together even if they disagree with each other. And that's the story that we read now with Yosef and the brothers. You know, many times God teaches us painful lessons. In the story of the spies, it says that when the spies came back, they were crying. God said, you're crying in vain. I'll give you something to cry about. And that day became the day of Tisha B'Av, a day of permanent crying. Because instead of being happy that they're going to the land of Israel, they cried. And the same thing here. God says, you settled in the land of Israel. Your whole family's together. Be happy, enjoy it. And what do? You fight amongst each other? Now you'll really have to suffer 22 years. And the lesson is when God gives you a blessing, don't destroy it. Appreciate it. Preserve it. Life is fragile. Don't cause problems based on our own ego and selfishness. Just conclude with a story. There was a story of a group of smugglers who were trying to smuggle diamonds into a country. And they came up with the idea, they took a coffin, they pretended it was a funeral, and they filled the coffin with diamonds. And they went to the border, and they pretended like it was a funeral procession. But the border guard noticed that they didn't look so sad. They were like smirking a little bit. He said, this is a strange funeral. He said, open up the coffin. They opened the coffin, they found the diamonds, they arrested all the smugglers, and as they're taking them off to prison in chains, in cuffs, they're weeping. And the border guard says to them, had you cried when had you not laughed when you should have been crying, you would have been crying now when you should have been laughing. Sometimes when we should be laughing, we cry for vain reasons. And therefore, unfortunately, we bring upon ourselves our own hardships. This week's parsha, the next few weeks, is about reclaiming brotherhood and family.